Welcome to In the Loop Podcast, a podcast that is inspired by the Western culture and the rodeo industry. I am your host, Jordan Joe Hullabaugh, professional rodeo athlete, business owner, married to my best friend, full-time cowgirl, and I am blessed to get to do what I love to do each and every day. My goal is to promote this industry and specifically the sport of breakaway roping. On In the Loop Podcast, we are bringing you behind-the-scenes stories of what real life looks like every day, from cowgirls, cowboys, industry producers, leaders, trailblazers, you name it, we talk about it. We are sharing stories of this Western culture and the lifestyle that they live daily. Join me as we share these stories of the amazing triumphs, trials, and victories, defining moments that we all have along this journey of the amazing way of life that we live. You are officially in the loop. Let's get to it. Okay, guys, so today we are here with a longtime friend. I feel like a guest that comes on my show a lot, like annually. I love to have you on here.
Yeah.
Doug Champion is with us today, and I don't even think you need an intro anymore. I mean, you are basically all things Champion Living Fitness. You've got so many cool things going on. You just got back from Australia. Okay, Africa. Maybe you should go to Africa next.
Yeah, we'll put it on the tour list.
Trip. Yeah, exactly. Champion Living Fitness Tour. But Doug Champion, thank you for coming to the show today.
Thanks for having me, Jordan. It's always so fun to come on here and chat with you. And like you said, I feel like I have been on here every year since you started it. So it's a pleasure to be here and to catch up with you. How's the new year going? You
New Year
just got started.
Going great. We talk about you being on here every year, but Champion Living Fitness is an essential part of my life and everything that I do. And that's why I'm like, I want to just everything that I've got that has been a success and has shown improvement to my life. I'm like, I want to share it with my listeners. And so that is why you're here and part of it. But 2024 has been off to a good start for me. We started off the new year in Guthrie, Oklahoma at the WCRA, and that was fun. We had a big win there. And so yeah, we're rolling right into it. We're in this cold front a little bit right now. So I did go outside and get my workout in before this. I just want you to know I have a little bit of frostbite on my fingertips because
Good for you.
I now am a Texan who's a sissy. So 23 outside and I feel like I'm in the tundra.
It's negative 23 here and we are in the tundra. It is.
So
it is chilly,
where are you at? Tell us, everybody. I don't know if everybody moves. You knows that you moved, you transitioned, you got married. You had so many things. What about your 2023 coming into 2024? How's it going for you?
Good. 23 was a hell of a year. Yeah, we moved in June I was living up on the north side of Colorado on the Front Range for a while. We moved in June to just south of Missoula, Montana. My brother has lived here for the last 5 years, so kind of just fell in love with the place, and we ended up coming up here and got married a couple months after that, and then straight into the NFR and doing podcasts and helping athletes. And we literally came home for 7 days and hit the road for Australia and got to do one of our optimal performance academies for rough stock riders over there, which was an incredible experience and just super cool to help the culture of rodeo spread over there even more than it already has, and actually give them some much needed help on just the fundamentals and mechanics of rodeo. It was actually really cool. It's summertime there, so they are in full swing of rodeo. And so they all left the school and went to, and I hate saying schools, they left the academy and went to rodeos, and they ended up taking all the money in all three events between all the guys that came to the school. So it was cool to watch that and just hear the success. And that's kind of been a trend with our schools is you come to one and it almost immediately pays someone back the next weekend in going to a rodeo and winning. So it's pretty dang cool. But going into 24, we've got some big things in the works. We are trying to put together some optimal performance academies for timed events, and specifically the ladies. We really feel like if we could help those events, and um, just take the approach of being a professional athlete, as well as your horse being a professional athlete, to those timed events. We're going to see those get even more competitive, and see people reach even higher limits than before. So excited for this year. We have a brand new app that we just released not too long ago called the Champion Living Fitness app. You can download it in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store. And this is a great introduction, or for someone who's not ready to invest in individualized coaching, to get information and workouts designed specifically for rodeo events. And we have bull riding, we have all the rough stock, we have team roping, breakaway, goat tying is coming. We have a bullfighting plan on there. And then we have a couple of plans just for general fitness. If you're just a mom or dad, or anyone who just wants to get fit and feel good and look good, there's 2 plans on there as well. But honestly, any of the workouts, if you're someone just wanting to work out and you're not in a specific event, any of those would be fun to do and would challenge you. So definitely check out that app. And there's definitely there's some free content on there, some free exercises, some free mobility workouts, and things just for people to check out. But we're just trying to make fitness as available as possible to rodeo athletes currently, in the future of rodeo, especially those younger generations, the middle school, high school, even little britches. If we can start to change the culture of you have to prepare your body to perform at the best, imagine where rodeo will be when those guys and girls get to the age of being able to professionally do it. We could see rodeo in a totally different space, which is really exciting.
That is exciting. And as I'm listening to you, one of the things I want to say that Champion Living has changed my life. I've talked about you guys all the time because it truly has, but it's a lifestyle. It's not, I think the biggest misconception that I had getting into this and before I worked with you was like, okay, I'm just going to work out, I'm going to lose weight, and then that's it. Like, I'm going to do this 2 to 3 month thing, and then I'm going to go back to doing what I did prior. And over the several years that you and I have worked together, it's been so cool to see the change that I've been able to make in my body, in my nutrition, in my mind, all the things. And, you sit back and you think, all right, junior high, high school, college, like, yeah, that may seem far off. If you are a young lady listening to this, or and you're in junior high and you think, oh, well, that's a long ways away. It's really not. It's not that far away. And it takes years of preparation and training and creating that lifestyle, creating that mindset. What does my body need? How do I need to eat? What am I training for? And so it creates that lifestyle and introduces these young kids to that. And that's why I think we're seeing things that are being so competitive right now. Everything is so competitive. And like you said, we anticipate it to get way tougher because the youth of our sport is training and preparing. Whereas before, I'm going to say even 5-10 years ago, for sure 10 years ago it wasn't, but 5 years ago, fitness and nutrition wasn't that big of an impact yet in the sport of rodeo, which I think Champion Living Fitness has definitely introduced that to this platform. But it completely changes the way you go about it, and it's investment in your body. I'm doing this stuff right now because I'm competing, but I'm also doing the stuff we're doing right now because when I'm 40, 50 years old, I want to be able to be fit and strong and be able to do what I want to do because I've taken care of my body, and you have taught me that.
That's awesome. And talk about like that being the end goal. I heard your mom was down roping with you recently.
Yep.
And she works out every day religiously. 62 years old and still roping quick. And kind of able to hang with the big dogs, which is kind of cool. So it's for everybody, and that's the end goal, is to be healthy when you're done rodeoing. And for me, it started with rough stock riders. So I started seeing a lot of my friends, early 30s, crippled, like can't even walk correctly, and their quality of life is different and would be different from there on out. So I knew there had to be something that we could do to help prevent that. And obviously strength and conditioning is number one to that. But like that is the end goal, is to be able to do whatever you want to do with the body that you have whenever you want to do it.
Yeah.
That's probably one of my biggest fears, is like getting older. And I love hunting. So going out and hiking and doing physically tough things is something I really enjoy. I don't ever want to get to the place where I can't do that. Even if it is I'm 80 or 90 or whatever, we could still do versions of that, but I don't want to be crippled and sitting on the couch, because that's not what life's about, right? There's so much more life after being a professional rodeo athlete and doing that. Also, you were saying, you know, the usual trend that you had was, I'm going to go crush it for 2 or 3 months, lose some weight, feel good, and then I'm going to go back to what I was doing. And then so you usually go 8 months with doing what you're usually doing, rodeoing, and then you come back and it's a vicious cycle trying to get that weight off again and trying to get healthy. And towards the end of that year, when you're not doing anything, you usually probably start to feel not very good. And along physically, mentally, your competitive spirit goes down, your performance goes down, and it's just a downward spiral. Exercise, making the lifestyle change, is what keeps you steady during that whole rodeo part of the year. 8 months of going hard, you have to take care of your body, you have to take care of your mind, and you have to have a routine. And that's one thing that we've worked hard at over these last couple of years, is your routine. You've been extremely consistent and extremely coachable. You've trusted the process, even when there's times where you're like, are you sure that this is working? Like, I don't think this is working, but it was, and it is.
Like when you tried to ask me to do a pull-up.
Yeah. But how much further have we gotten on that? Now it's gotten so much better,
a lot
right?
further on it.
Yeah. It's just all about practice. And I say this at our rough stock schools. It takes 10,000 hours to master a skill. So when we start talking about mastering roping, or mastering riding a horse, or mastering riding bulls, there's a lot of damn time that you have to put into that before you're going to be a master at it. And so I think people also get burnout or disheartened by the fact that they're not seeing results that quickly. But in the grand scheme of things, if we gave ourselves 1 to 2 years to see a transformation, instead of this
Realistic.
Unrealistic thought of 1 to 2 months, people's whole life would change. Because that's when you see the changes, is when you have consistent effort over time. And then it becomes a part of who you are and what you do. And it can change everything for you, but people just don't give themselves enough time and enough grace to say, hey, this doesn't happen overnight. I have to continuously be doing this thing to get better at it. And that's for anything in life. Working out, nutrition, business, rodeo, just keep working. And if the work that you're putting in is not turning out results, you need to look back at your process. Am I still doing the correct things? Are there things that I've shied away from, whatever it is? And we've done that multiple times with you over the last couple of years. We're going, and I credit that all to how competitive the sport has gotten since we started together. And that's just been 3 or 4 years. So you have been doing all the work, but all the other girls have been doing the work too. And when we show up to the rodeo, it takes an insanely fast time and everything to go right to win. And sometimes it doesn't. Like, sometimes you don't win. Sometimes you go hard and you did the best you could, and that just is what it is. And that's a hard thing to live with. And it's also a hard thing to keep going past, right? To not get in your head about. So it's been cool to watch you stick to your guns, do your workouts every day. You still focus on the basics every single time you're getting in the box. You're not making it complicated. You take something good from it. If it doesn't go good, and then we're on to the next one. And then if it goes good, we're picking up a big fat check, which is super cool.
Well, and I think that the biggest thing that's helped me is like going back to the old cycle that I had, like we'll say 3 months, right? You get home, you feel like crap. You're like, I'm going to work out. I want to feel good. You do the work to feel good, and you feel good, and you're like, okay, good. I'm done now. I'm going to go back to doing all the same things that I did. And then you create that. It's a pattern, and it's terrible, or it was for me. And so I think it's been neat to see how through the years, we've worked together, I think, 4 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And through the years, like setting realistic expectations of this is what I want my body to look like. This is how I want to feel. This is the energy level I want to be able to maintain. This is what I want to be able to do on my horse. And just knowing that, some days I would leave my Champion Living Fitness, virtual gym, and it's like 20 minutes. And I'm like, man, I don't feel like I did anything. And I did 20 minutes worth of stuff, but I'm like, I didn't really feel as significant, but doing that every single day, or, like the routine we have, the 4 to 5 days a week, it makes a difference. Doing the same thing or not the same thing, but different things, but doing the work every day, putting the time in, it adds up over time. And then all of a sudden you have something to work with. And then I think one of the things that you said that I really kind of want to dive into is, I think the biggest misconception and I don't know if it's a culture thing or if it's, just in our industry, but it's like, if you do the work, you're going to win. But that's not a guarantee. There's no guarantee there. But it's like having a bigger picture of what is your why? Why are you doing this work? And is it just for this one end result outcome? Or is it, like, talk a little bit more about how you kind of coach your athletes through that mindset that I think we're given by society of like, well, I'm training and I'm going to win, or that's just it. I just can't do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have American society has gotten very good at convincing you that you have to, if you just work as hard as you possibly can, that you're going to see success. And in the past, even 10 years ago, I'd say that was pretty true because there was not a lot of people working that hard at what they were doing. Nowadays, everybody is working hard. So working hard alone is not going to do what it used to for you and getting you ahead. Working smart is definitely the way to go. So smarter, not harder. I'm sure people have heard that before. We say it a lot. And what we mean by that is you're still putting in the work and be consistent every day, but you're being very intentful about what you're doing. And if it comes to exercise, they're event specific. They're actually working on your weaknesses. You have a coach that found out what your strengths and weaknesses are so they can figure out and create a program that addresses you as an individual so you can elevate yourself in the arena, in the gym, whatever it is. But the like days of just going does not mean that you're getting ahead anymore. And a lot of times now I feel like people get lost in that and end up just wearing themselves out, trying to chase every little thing and thinking that's going to get them ahead. So being very intentful about your why, like why are you doing this, whether it's rodeo, whether it's a business, why do you want to be the best at it? Or why do you want to win this event? Or why do you want to make this amount of money? Your why has to be a lot bigger than just because I think it's cool. It needs to be something that scares you even a little bit, like this is, I'm providing for my family through this, whatever that is. That's kind of scary because if you fail, then your family doesn't get provided for. But things that should keep you going, keep you motivated and working towards that. And also the mindset of you got to be patient in everything that you do here. Nothing great happens quickly. It takes a long time for things to accumulate like that. I talked about the 10,000 hour rule. Like it takes a lot of hours to get really good at something. So we talk about like the mindset of our at rodeo athletes when we're setting goals. And the truth of the matter is there's going to be a lot of times in rodeo that it doesn't go right. And that's because 50% of what you do depends on an animal. And that's just it. We're gambling, right? We're rolling the dice every time we enter a rodeo. And that's just something we have to live with. So not getting so caught up on the bad draws, not getting caught up on days that don't go right. Because at the end of the day, if you're at this level of professional rodeo, you know what the fundamentals are and you know what got you there. The hardest part's remembering that when things aren't going right. Or even when things do start to go right. It's easy to overthink everything. And that's the thing about all these rodeo events is the fundamentals are what allow a person to accomplish the successful outcome of whatever the ride or event is. And it's really easy to church it up if that makes sense. Like it's really easy to make it very complex and get lost. And so the hardest part about the sport is being dumb and just doing A, B, and C, and what you need to, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the hardest part. And when things don't go right, you want to make it A, B, C, D all the way through Z. I should have done this and that and that. And it's like, no,
if not double alphabets.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's way easier to do than say, nope, I just do A, B, and C. I just do A, B, and C. So I think for everyone listening, if you're setting goals, make sure they stretch you out a little bit. Make sure they push you, but be reasonable with yourself. You're 18 years old. You just bought your permit. You want to make the NFR. You're probably not going to do that next year. So having that out of your head is a really good way to set yourself up to succeed, because you're not going to let yourself down at the first goal you ever set, right? Someone that gets on their permit, it's like, okay, let's stay around the circuit. Let's make the circuit finals. You can make the circuit finals on your permit. You can go to a lot of rodeos around the circuit. You can get your name known around, in rough stock, that's a little bit different because they're judged events, but girls roping, like go out there, get your feet wet in it. And a lot of these circuits are going to have at least one or two bigger rodeos that you can go get your feet in a little bit deeper water with the big dogs, and go see where you stack up. And those are great opportunities to see where you are, to see if, hey, I feel like I've been at this level. I think I'm ready to go rodeo, for a full summer run. Let me go check out this rodeo. Let me go to, I don't know, like you're in Kansas and you get to go to Salinas or something like that towards the end of the year, and you get to go test out and see if you're ready to go. I just think it's such a better idea for them to set a goal like, I'm going to make the circuit finals, then next year I'm going to win the circuit finals, Ram National circuit finals. I don't know exactly how it works for breakaway, right? So I'm just kind of going through it, and eventually the NFR. But just being real with yourself and setting realistic goals is really important for someone to set themselves up for success.
Well, and I think too, as I'm sitting here listening to this, I think, Raymond, he kind of helped me to set me up that way, and I didn't really see it going that way as it was happening. But now I look back and I'm thankful that he did. But we went through this steps. Like when I started roping and really focusing on it, I went to the college rodeos and really that was kind of it for me. But other than just every now and then I went to an amateur rodeo. But then when I got serious about it, it was like we went to the Ultimate Calf Opens, and then I'd had some failures, lots of failures, and then I'd had some success. And then once we went to that, we went to amateur rodeos. Like there weren't any pro rodeos at that time, but like he helped me take me through the steps so that I was going to fail inevitably, because I'm learning and I'm trying to learn and rope and figure out the situations, figure out the arenas, all those things. But he also set me up for success in building that confidence in steps, instead of just throwing me out there at that time, which would have been the amateur rodeos and getting my butt kicked severely, which I still got my butt kicked when I got to that point, but not as severely as I would have if I would have been there 2 years prior, so I kind of went through the steps, and I think it set you up for success and confidence, knowing like, okay, I'm not really sure. Okay, I'm sure. Okay, I got this. And then next level. And I think that really would help. For me, it helped me set me up for success, to where it wasn't so overwhelming and I wasn't like, well, I suck, I just shouldn't be here and I shouldn't do this. Not to say like, if you think you're at that level and you're going from 0 to 100, like go for it. But I just know that, with the competition the way it is, I think, and I see a lot, that it's easy to get out there and put yourself out there and not have the success you anticipate or expect. And then it's like you're burnt out and you're like, well, what's this even for? And I think that that's a lot of, we even in things that we do today, burnout is so easy to kind of run across. So how do you help train your athletes and manage your athletes to avoid or to manage their burnout when that happens?
Yeah, that's definitely a real thing. That kind of burnout where you kind of break yourself is a big learning experience. And I did that first thing on my permit. I entered Denver and Odessa and I got my ass kicked. And so I lost about $1,000 there. I was in college. That was all the $1,000 I had. And so I didn't get to go to to rodeos after that for a while. And so I had to work and get my money back up and go to some amateur rodeos and stuff like that. But that right there was a learning experience for me because I did not enter smart and I didn't enter accordingly for where I was. I had unrealistic expectations of being able to just go to a pro rodeo and win two of the biggest ones of the year. It's just not going to happen. So I got to sit back and kind of reassess everything for me. When it comes to my athletes burning out, we do a pretty damn good job we communicate with our athletes a lot. When you're on the road, when you're doing things, we are finding out where you are, how did it go? We're pretty good at helping you monitor how you're doing and how you're feeling, whether that's adjusting workout times, whether that's taking a mental day and just doing some mobility and going for a kayak ride on the lake, like whatever it is, you have to be able to be aware of what your body's telling you, what you need. And that's what, as coaches, we're here to help you do and help you monitor all of that. So biggest thing is just not letting yourself get to that burnout, being aware that you're heading that way and saying, okay, well, what can I do to counteract this? Because I know that the further I go down this road, the worse it's going to get. That's something I had to get really good at with my own life. Work wise, like I work hard. I love working, but I also will work myself to death. And how that shows up for me is anxiety. Like if I get to doing too much, I start getting these anxious spells for no reason. And like I don't know what's going on, why it's happening. But over time, I've realized that when I do start to feel like that, I'm doing too much and I need to take a couple days to not think about anything and let myself decompress. So I think that goes for everything, business, rodeo, whatever. Like, be aware of what your body's telling you. Be aware of how much stress you're putting on yourself and manage it accordingly. Because if you manage it as it's coming up, you're going to be doing a lot better than just stuffing it down deep, because it is going to come back. It always does. But, the recovery side of everything is just as important as the exercise or the pushing hard or whatever it is. And people forget that this whole thing is one big puzzle. And all of those things that I've talked about, working out, nutrition, mental health, like managing your stress, those are all pieces of the puzzle. And if we aren't giving a little attention to each piece, the puzzle looks shitty. But if we do have all the pieces of the puzzle looks good, right? We're doing good. That's just something I always try and get across to people, is everyone thinks it's just one thing. And that's so false. It's all, you have to pay attention to all the things. And when someone masters all of those things, it's really, really good for them at whatever they're doing. But it takes time. It takes time.
It does. It takes time. And one thing I want to ask too, which this is something that I kind of battled with for a little bit. And then I'm like, a light came on and I'm like, hey, wait, like I'm working with Doug for a reason, because I want to get better, but for a minute, it was like, there was a lot of the misconception of like the shame and blame thing, I would say, is like, well, I don't want to tell him I can't lift 15 pounds above my head. Like, I'm not going to tell him that. I'm just going to be like, oh yeah, did it. Good. Good. And then I felt like, I'm like, well, I'm depriving myself of growing, being honest, and being like, hey dude, I can't do that. And why, and what do I need to do better? And so when I finally got it through my head that like, my coach is not judging me. He's here to help me. I hired him for a reason. I want to get better then, and was honest with myself about like, hey, I can't do that. Or, being real and authentic. One of the things I love that you guys do is you have a video component on there, or a photo component, and you can upload your video of you doing it. And there's been several times you're like, hey, this a little bit less, this a little bit more, so on and so forth. So that's helped me more than anything, as far as like, hey, I want to get better. I want to be honest about this. I want to talk to my coach and be like, I can do this. Great. This feels good. This feels terrible. Whatever that looks like. So how have you broken through as a business person and as a coach, being able to get your athletes to understand like, hey, I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here to be like Hitler or any of those things. Like, I'm here to help you through your strengths and through your weaknesses and make you a better person for both. Yeah.
With all of my athletes, I like to set expectations from the very get-go. So what you can expect out of me, what I expect of them, what you put in is what you're going to get out with me. So I tell all of my athletes, if you want to get the most out of what you're paying for, record your weights, record your videos so I can actually see what's going on and help you. If you don't record your weights and you don't record those videos, there's not much I can do. Like, I can only look at this completed workout that you hit complete on and there's no stats. I'm going to say, good job. But the people that are actually investing themselves, video themselves every day, type in their stats, I can track trends. I can track what's happening with them, and I can adjust their training program accordingly. And so what they're getting out of it, they're seeing results a lot faster than someone that is still putting in the work but not communicating with me because I don't know what's going on. They hit check mark on, like you, I can't do this movement. Instead of hitting check, you said, I can't do this. Why is that? Oh, our scapular strength is weak on the right side, right? We've got an imbalance there. I need to fix that. I saw that instantly off of one video. Cool. Start fixing that. Now everything's back to normal. We're back on track, seeing progress. That other person that doesn't say anything is going to continue down that path of having this imbalance, and it's only going to get worse. So being able to communicate with your coach it's the athlete's responsibility to do that. The coach has a responsibility of checking in on the athlete, making sure that their programs are accounted for, they're communicated with and taken care of. But if the athlete isn't communicating back, there isn't much that can be done. So it's really imperative, if you are signing up for any kind of individualized coaching that has a coach tied to it, do your work. Check in with them. Take advantage of their time and their information, because that's what you're paying for.
That's what we're paying for. That's why we even got enrolled in the process.
Exactly. And everyone gets, you said nervous or thinks they shouldn't, I don't want to waste his time. That's what you're paying us for, is to do that. Like that, our time to look at those things. So
I'm paying you to waste your time.
Exactly.
Well, and all those things too. And I just want to say, those are just some of the things that I wanted to touch on today. Y'all, Doug is an endless resource. The coaching staff on Champion Living Fitness, is an endless resource. But one of the things I really want to talk about before we jump off here today, Doug, is your OPA. And we talked about it a little bit earlier, but I really want to dive into that because it's so exciting just to see all the good work that you're doing for rodeo. You are totally sowing all of these seeds into rodeo athletes, the youth of the sport, us middle-agers of the sport, the olders of the sport, the veterans, all the things. One of the cool things I thought that Raymond and I were watching the NFR this year, and he was like, man, you can tell these guys have been working out with Doug or somebody else because they're not limping at the 8th, the 9th, and 10th round. And I thought that was pretty cool. But tell me a little bit more about OPA. Some people don't know enough about it, and I think it's such a neat experience. Obviously, it is because they're recruiting you to come to Australia, and whoever is listening that's in Africa wants to come to Africa too. But tell me a little bit more about OPA and what that means and why you started it.
Yeah, so rough stock schools have been a thing for a long time, and same as any kind of timed event clinic. The reason that we started this as bareback riders and bronc riders is because we had been to a lot of schools and taught a lot of schools that were not necessarily set up to help a guy develop as an athlete in the sport and help teach them the actual professional skills that they need to be successful as a professional rodeo athlete. Every other sport has a combine or a development camp or a sports institute. Football, baseball, all of these things have places that guys can go to develop themselves as professional athletes to make the jump to the next level. Rodeo does not have that. So we started the Optimal Performance Academy. This isn't a school, it's an academy like it says in the title. This is a 4-day all-inclusive thing that teaches rodeo athletes not just the sport-specific skills they need to be successful, but the professional skills. And so we teach them how to exercise like professional athletes, and specifically for the purpose of their event, whether it's rough stock, timed event, whatever, we're teaching them exercises, workouts they can do at home. They're going to work out for the first 2 days. We'll work out twice a day together. These are, again, we're not killing them. This, like you said, these are workouts that are controlled. We're teaching them how to move. And the biggest thing is trying to increase that mind and muscle connectivity. A lot of these athletes do not know how to move correctly. This is a sport that working out has not been a thing since its start. So something new, we're teaching them how to move correctly, which inherently teaches them to feel their muscles a lot more. So when we get them on a spur board or a drop barrel or a rope and dummy or riding the horse and tell them to squeeze their hips or drive their hips, they know how to do that from the exercises. So we're getting all of that to connect and showing them how the exercises actually connect to their event specific skills. We're teaching them about nutrition, what it means to fuel yourself with quality food, how to figure out how much to eat in a day, and how to manage that food when you're going to rodeos, when you're living in cowboy hospitality or on the road. We talk about financial budgeting. So teaching these guys and girls how to set up a budget for rodeo, how to plan how much each weekend or each run is going to cost you, and to make sure it's a profitable idea for your business. And that's the biggest thing there, is we're getting these guys and girls to start looking at rodeo past just a hobby if they want to be professionals at it and start treating it like a business. Along with that, we teach them how to enter PRCA rodeos. We literally walk them through step by step the online portal of the PRCA and tell them how you can enter rodeos, what to look for in the sports journals as a guy or a girl on their permit, and how to set up a run, what to look for, how you would set it up, and the best ways to do that. And 10-time NFR qualifier Caleb Bennett does that for us, and it's an incredible class. It usually takes us about an hour and a half to 2 hours. There's so many questions, and guys and girls get a ton from it. And we also talk about social media, how to attract sponsors, how to set up your social media in a way that represents you and the sport of rodeo in a positive way, so you can be a good ambassador for the sport. The last 2 days are filled with event-specific skills. So whether we're bucking horses, bulls, or roping cattle, or throwing steers, like whatever the event is, we are doing that for 2 days straight, and we are really getting the reps in and seeing. In the rough stock riding, we've seen huge advancements. We haven't done a timed event one yet. We've done a couple of college training camps where we got to work with timed event athletes in the classroom, but we haven't been able to do the skill specific things. But it's been unreal.
To be announced. Stay tuned.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. Yeah, and then this year we have on the books already. We have a bull riding OPA coming up. We are teaming up with the PBR Strength and Performance Center down in Pueblo. We're going to be doing that for 4 days down there. Incredible facility, incredible opportunity for guys to come develop themselves as professionals. And, like you think about school or academy, everyone thinks about the beginners. This is set up for someone that was in that top 50, that top 40. You were in 20th place and didn't make the NFR this year. This is where you need to be. Come and figure out what's going on and pick apart the little things that are going to set you to that next level, because this is the spot to do it for sure. We've got a horse riding bronc and barebacks will be happening in November, and we've got something big surprise coming up as well, which to be announced on the timed event side.
To be announced. We can't talk about it, but all those things, like it's awesome. It's an academy, and it really is. Like, I feel as a breakaway roper, I was green, even though my husband had rodeoed for 30 some years. It had evolved, and it changes every single year so many times. The runs change, the way it's set up's changed. I mean, the Procom has changed, all the things. It all changes. Everything is changing. So I felt like a rookie for the first 2 years. This is really last year and this coming year. I kind of have a peace and an ease about, okay, this is kind of what I want to do. These are the rodeos I like. This is how I like to do it. I've kind of figured that out, but I rodeoed my whole entire life and had no idea. And it's really hard out there to get. There's people that will share that information with you, but it's really, really hard to get people to share that information with you. And so I love how you guys are having that open mindset, and you're like, we want to teach everybody to be their best in their mental, physical, emotional, sponsoring, entering, finances. Finances is so huge, and that's probably a podcast within itself. To create a lifestyle, but to create a legacy after rodeo. One of the things I love about the NFL is all these guys, they play football, they make tons of money, and then after they're done, they go back and they're commentating, or they're on some sports show or some talk show, or what. There's life after football. And you guys are setting a trend and a tone for life after rodeo as well. And I know that we say that sometimes, and people are like, well, I'm in a rodeo forever. And I hope you do. I will probably be that 80-year-old lady who's like strapping herself on there and like, hey, Doug, spot me in case I come off, but I love to rodeo and I love to rope. But in all reality, we're just not going to be able to do it forever. And so then what? then what? And so
Yeah.
let's create that community for the then what now and grow in that. And then it gives back to everybody, the youth, the veterans, all the people, all the things. And OPA does that. So that's why I love everything about it.
Thanks, dude. Yeah, that's been our goal. It's funny you said Tom Brady, because that's literally when I started training guys. I said, I want to see Tom Brady's in rough stock. I want to see a guy win a world title at 40 and be able to walk away because he's made enough money over those extra years that he got at the NFR or throughout the seasons, was smart with his money. And now he doesn't have to go work a 9 to 5, and he's healthy enough to go do whatever he wants after. That's the dream. And like being able to see that come true, it would be huge. And this is where it starts, is OPA, teaching guys how to be, and girls, how to be professionals, we're changing a culture here. We have to change the entire thing. So it's cool. It's exciting. I'm fired up for 2024, and cannot thank you enough for having me on today to talk about all this.
Well, I'm pumped for you. You guys, if you haven't already, go check out the Champion Living Fitness app. It has tools on there. Even if you're not a subscribed Champion Living Fitness ambassador, you can go in. There's breakaway roping, there's barrel racing, there's all the timed events, all the rough stock. There are set up workouts that you can buy individually and do yourself if you don't want to coach. If you want to coach, which I highly recommend, use it for yourself. Use it to get better. It really has. It's changed my life in and out of the arena. It's changed how I look at my mental, my physical, my emotional, all the things. It's been a huge part of my life, and I just want to share that with you guys. So championlivingfitness.com, the app on Google Play or Apple Podcasts. Well, of course, his podcast is really cool too. I don't know if you guys have listened to that or not. You probably should. Yeah, I mean,
Definitely
Doug's
should.
got everything going on here. He's kind of like a one-stop show.
We try to be. Thanks, Jordan.
Thanks, Doug. I appreciate it.